right, friends, come on in and get situated. Glad to be here talking marketing this afternoon for all of you in the ag business friends of Lessiter Media and the equine business friends of American Farriers Journal. Glad to have all of you here with us today. We're recording our session today, and so glad at the end here to provide you a bunch of great information from our friends over at Lessiter, and then as well a recording and copy of the webinar as you're going to be seeing it here today. So glad to have all of you here with us. Big thank you to all of our friends at Lessiter Media for bringing me here to the microphone today. I've had a wonderful opportunity to spend a little time with these fine folks that are deeply involved in the farming and agricultural business and on the equestrian side in the farrier business as well. And if you don't know what a farrier is, well, there's your homework after the webinar to get online and figure out what that is and what a great profession that services so many equestrian horse owners all across the United States and around the world. So whether you're an advertiser of Farm Equipment Magazine or a no-till farmer or farm equipment or whatever the circumstance is, we're so glad to have you here with us today and talk about marketing. Man, are we living in some crazy times. How about that, friends? We go from COVID-19 to social unrest to all kinds of things on the news and back to COVID again. And in the midst of it all, what are we trying to do? We're trying to run our businesses and we're trying to market our businesses. And I've had a great opportunity to have some great experience relaunching some brands and reboosting some brands. And I hope today that the information we provide to you will do just that. Our goal is simple. We'd like to help you not only survive the various crises that are here upon us, whether it's COVID-19 or commodities and pricing or whatever the circumstance is, and help you rebrand, relaunch, reboot, or just keep right on rocking along the way. In the invitation you received, you might have read a little bit about me. I've had a wonderful opportunity over the last 30 years to work for some amazing brands in the business and worked on one of the teams that won an Emmy Award for marketing at the Walt Disney Company. And some brands that you probably recognize, of course, had a great opportunity to work with John Deere and the folks at IH Case and some big aviation companies. But friends, where I really love to operate is on Main Street America, where a lot of you live, where a lot of us live. I really love the opportunity to work with mid-sized business owners. And you might be a big company too, and I'm glad you're here today. You're going to have the ability to do almost everything that we're talking about. But not everybody has unlimited budgets. There's not a money tree parked out back or growing out back of my home here. I live just outside of Augusta, Georgia, but grew up on an Iowa farm. And I grew up as a farm boy. My dad was a part-time preacher and part-time farmer. And now he's a carpenter and enjoys building. And that's part of who we are and what we do here in our family. My wife is a big time into the horse business. She's an equestrian events producer as well as deeply involved in the equestrian business all across the country. Two of my uncles are some of the biggest farmers in the states of Iowa and Illinois, and owns some major fertilizer companies and things like that. So I can remember the first vehicle I ever drove was a John Deere tractor. And if you don't think that I've got implements out back, I can tell you that it wasn't about an hour ago that my wife said, "Hey, we've got a flat tire," and I was out pumping up tire on a tractor, so she could get out and mow in the back pasture out there. So thrilled to have our lives intersect in so many different ways in the ag space as well as in the marketing space. Now, you might have heard the quote, "Lead, follow, or get out of the way," as we get started. And sometimes this quote is often misattributed, unfortunately. People might say, "Hey, isn't that Zig Ziglar?" Or maybe it's Billy Graham, or maybe it's Tony Robbins or somebody like that. It actually is not. This quote was actually written in 1776 and was actually featured in a paper, and that paper was called The American Crisis. What's interesting about the American crisis is that we've been going through crises in America since 1776, since our founding fathers, put the Declaration and the Constitution in place. It's been crisis after crisis after crisis. Now, granted, we haven't seen anything quite the likes here in recent history of COVID-19. However, there's a lot that we can learn from history. The other thing that we can learn from is the fact that many businesses, especially across the Southeast, relaunched their businesses in the post-COVID world. And I know a lot of people, some folks in Idaho, et cetera, are rolling things back a little bit. Everybody needs to be safe out there. We've got a lot to learn from history, and we've got a lot to learn from the last 2 or 3 months. So the ideas I'm going to share with you today are things that I've learned from working with major manufacturers, as well as the Walt Disney Company, as well as observation of my own business. And my wife and I have 6 businesses as well. And so I think you're going to find some great information as we rock forward. When times are good, friends, you should advertise, and that's why you're here. You're here because you are a customer or a potential customer of our friends over at Lessiter Media. Here's what's interesting, though. When times are bad, and whether you consider now to be bad or not so good, however you're feeling about it, we'll set all politics aside for the next 60 some odd minutes. When times are bad, you really must advertise. And there's a couple reasons why. One is because out of sight, out of mind is a reality. In a post-COVID world, friends, it's very important to remember that for the last 100 some odd days, whatever your primary customer is, your customers weren't worried about you. They were worried about themselves. They were worried about their family. They were worried about their livestock, whatever the circumstance is, getting their crops in the ground, or whatever your business is. The interesting thing is companies over the course of history that saw the good in bad times always exited the crisis as a market leader, or they gained significant market share. Whether your marketing budget is $100,000 or $50,000 or $5,000 or $1 million, there is a certain level of volume that you can afford to turn up to leverage a bad situation, not take advantage of it, to leverage a bad situation and make it as good as possible for your individual business. There's 3 things I want to share with you as you talk through idea number 1. I've got 10, 11 ideas for you today. And by the way, if you got questions, chat them across. There's a Q&A box, and that'll pop up on my screen. I promise that no one else is going to see your questions other than me. So feel free to chat those questions across, and we'll do our best to answer all of those. Number 1, as we talk through strategy idea number 1, marketing is essential in uncertain times. I recognize that one of the first things to cut, the easiest thing to cut, is marketing. My wife, myself, you as fellow business owners, we've all had to make some tough decisions. But what's interesting is, and I'm going to give you anecdotal and empirical evidence here of companies that don't cut during a time of crisis. They don't cut and they rebound in dramatic ways. The second piece that we're going to talk about in point number 1 is really understanding what strategic frequency is and what the marketing success formula is. I've got it and I can share it with you today. What's interesting is some of you will never have seen this data before. And I always forget that. I always forget when I'm talking with businesses large and small. I've had the opportunity to advise over 500 different companies, large and small, all across the United States. A lot in the agriculture and equestrian space, because that's where I live and operate. And then really how to use math to your advantage. What does the formula look like? So here's what I want to do. I know that when we start talking about math, a lot of people are like, oh my goodness gracious. Are we really going to talk about math today, Ryan? Well, we are just for a little bit. So let me grab my handy dandy little pen here and let me walk you through the recipe, if you will, or the formula that can be repeated month after month after month in the marketing paradigm. Here's the thing, friends. Whatever your budget is, you adjust your budget accordingly to follow this formula. All right, on the screen in front of you right now is a graph from Nielsen. Nielsen is well documented and well known over the years for doing marketing research as well as audience surveys. So they survey readers, like the readers of Lessiter publications. They watch and listen to radio. They watch and listen then to television as well. All right, so here's how I want to set this up. Over on the right side of the screen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line over here on the right side of the screen. Follow me along if you would. I promise no more than 5 minutes on this math. But once I give you this formula, you'll go, oh, okay, I sort of knew that. I just didn't know it in that way. I have the ability to repeat marketing success month after month after month in an affordable way. All right, we're sitting here on the 8th day of January. So let's just say by August the 1st. So let's just say by 8/1, all right, we want to see some return on investment, some ROI from our marketing dollars. So let's put a little circle right here. That's the timeline. 8/1 is when you want to see results. Now, you might be saying, well, Ryan, I want results right now. If it was that easy, friends, I'd be a millionaire, you'd be a billionaire, and we wouldn't be on this webinar today. Marketing's not necessarily hard, but there is a formula that you need to follow. And if you follow that formula, like my clients do, what you'll see is you can repeat your marketing success month after month after month. All right, here we go. Here's the formula. If you want one customer to respond to you, okay, one customer, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to put your marketing message in front of that one person 10 times. You're going to need to put those 10 messages, whatever they are, in 3 different channels. Okay, so there's 3 different channels. Could be a magazine, it could be a social boost post, it could be the advertising you see on your phones when you go to the weather channel. That could be your 3 channels. That's fine. So if you want one person to respond to you, they're going to need to see 10 messages in 3 different channels, and they'll need to see those over a 30-day period of time before you're going to get the ROI, there we go, I, not a real good R there, sorry. It's hard to draw with your mouse. Give it a try. There we go. How about a big R? There we go, R. Before you see the ROI that you actually want, you feel like you deserve, and it's going to make you happy. What's interesting is the number of folks that I work with as a 30-year marketing professional, that they really feel like they can run one ad for the products that you guys sell or the services that you advocate, and you're going to get a response just like this. Okay, let's say that you're in the machinery space. Maybe you're in the short line machinery space. And you want to try to move, say, 6 or 8 pieces of equipment to one particular dealer group. You want to do that in, say, the next 60 days or something like that. You want to run an ad and see people call or email you just like this. Boy, if it was that easy, man, oh man, I'd be rich. You'd be rich. We'd all be millionaires. It's not that easy. So let's see what Nielsen tells us. Nielsen tells us, here's your 10 ads here at the bottom, the frequency, your 10 ads. So let's say as an example, this first ad right here that you're going to run, let's just say you're going to put that ad, for example, in FE, Farm Equipment Magazine, just as an example, since they brought us here together today, okay? Now, what's going to happen after somebody sees an ad is their purchase intent, their willingness to purchase from you is going to grow about 5.2%, according to Nielsen. They're going to be 6, an individual user or reader, customer, is going to be about 6.2%, more aware of who you are and what you do. Now, you might be saying, hey, I've been in this business for 35 years. Everybody knows me. Well, here's the thing about human beings. You have to constantly remind them over and over again why you deserve their business. I mean, brand loyalty is not dead, but brand loyalty is not what it used to be. And I know that's true because I see my dad driving a different truck than he ever drove since I was a small child. I hear my wife saying different conversations like, maybe we should try this trailer. Maybe we should switch to this kind of truck. And I'm thinking, what? Who are you? The second time that you run an ad, let's just say as an example that you do some type of Facebook post, just as an example. And then someone's willingness to purchase from you grows to 7%, and they're 11.6% more aware of you, as an example. Let's say the third ad that you run is in some type of e-newsletter, maybe some type of product spotlight or something like that. They're going to be about 11.3% more likely to purchase from you, and their awareness of your brand or your new piece of product, equipment, service, whatever grows as well. And then there's this drop off right here, this little gully. What is that all about? Why is it drop from 11 to 9? Ryan, I want things to go up. Hey, so do I. As an advertiser myself, as a marketer myself, what I want is I want to run an ad and I want things to happen. Well, they will happen as long as you give them time to happen and you follow the natural inclination of the human brain. Humans don't operate like this. They don't just rock like a rocket ship. All right, so let's just say that this fourth ad, just as an example, that they see your ad once again, they pick up Farm Equipment Magazine, and they see it again, or American Farrier's Journal, or whatever it is that you're reading. And then the fifth ad and sixth ad and so on and so forth, you get my point. The more ads that somebody sees. But here's what we've never talked about before, but we're here today talking about it. And that is what happens at this point. After the 8th ad, somebody sees the 8th ad. And by the way, this could be the same ad in various publications. It could be the same advertising message on Facebook, Instagram, back over in a magazine, in an e-newsletter, at an event. Not many events. We're going to talk about that here in a second. At a certain point in time, people are fully aware of what it is that you've got to offer. You've got their purchase intent about as high as it's going to get. And then they're going to drop off dramatically. They're really going to drop off into this valley. Why is that? It's because they're to a point where they're going to be doing research. They're going to be doing research. And what they're waiting for is they're waiting also for some type of need to occur in their life. Now, it might be the end of the year or right before tax time, and they need to have an expense, and their accountant has said, hey, you should get out there and buy a new combine. I mean, who knows? Whatever the circumstance is, get a new truck or whatever. Let's write it off before we have to pay taxes. Normally, though, a need's going to occur when something breaks. There's a change in the business climate. They need advice or help or something along those lines. Needs happen at different times, to different people, in different places, at different rates. You really can't predict it. Now, you've been doing this long enough to know that you might think that people would buy more equipment at a certain time of year. It does happen depending upon your business. But here's the thing, people don't respond like this. Once they get to a point, friends, where they're right here, they're fully aware of you, they're ready to purchase in some capacity. Now they're going to research, and they're going to spend a considerable amount of time right here in this valley. And then when they have a need, boom, that's when you're going to get the ROI that you want. And friends, that's called the marketing bump. The marketing bump. The marketing bump is going to happen to different people at different times, at different rates of speed, depending upon your industry, your product, your service, or whatever the circumstance is. Here's what I can share with you unequivocally. This will repeat itself over and over and over and over again. It just does. That's the nature of marketing. Big time marketers recognize this. So what you do is you spend as much as you can spend to be consistent instead of trying to guess. See, what a lot of you do is you'll run an ad and an ad campaign, and then you'll drop out. Then you'll run an ad campaign for a couple months, and then you drop out. Then you run for a couple months, or you're waiting, and then you drop out. Well, the problem is you have to spend more money up here at the top to regain what you lost when you quit marketing in between. It's always more cost effective to stay flat. It really is. Now, of course, we want you to grow, so we want you to spend as much as you can afford to spend. But this formula can be repeated over and over and over again. Here's one of the mistakes I see all the time from a marketing perspective. People trying to choose one channel. The reason you're not getting the ROI that you want or that you deserve is because when you choose one channel, it's just not enough. It's just not enough. You're not reaching enough of an audience. So you've got a lot of things that are occurring in your life that you really need to rinse and repeat. What's interesting about COVID-19 right now is the uptick in traffic on media websites like the Lessiter websites and so many others. So visitor sessions have skyrocketed nationally, 48%. Unique visitors have increased 40%. Unique page views are up 44%. You might have seen it on your own websites. Now's the time that people are really spending a lot of time researching, and, because they're locked down in whatever capacity that means for your community, your county, your state, or whatever the circumstance is. That's why, I'm spending so much time leaning on my media partners. People are in research mode. They're in research mode. I asked the folks at Lessiter to give me some data. I said, hey, let me share with your business clients or your partners what's happening with your websites. Look at these numbers. We've got users on farm equipment up 25%. New users, friends, that's an important number, up 27%. Sessions, so time that people are spending 2 minutes on the website or more, up 14%. Look at No-Till Farmer, 40% in user increase. New users up 44%. Does it mean like more farmers are moving to no-till? By the way, I know what no-till is. No, it just means that people are spending more time consuming content. Those sessions are up 29%. Look at the crop cover. Look at crop cover strategies. Cover crop strategies. Say that 10 times fast. You won't get it out either. 89% increase in users. Okay, 78% up on new users. 47% up in user sessions. What I'm doing is I'm wanting to lean on media companies that have these kind of numbers. That's why I asked them to bring those numbers to the table. Okay, so how do you break it down? How do you break down these numbers? So let's just say that your marketing budget isn't as extensive as maybe your competitor, or maybe you've said, hey, Ryan, we got to scale back. We just have to. All right, so let me give you an example. One of the things that I like to do is I like to use an example of, say, $1,000. Let's just say, as an example, that your marketing budget every month is $1,000. Hopefully, for a lot of you that are on this call today, hopefully you've got a bigger budget than that. But that's an easy number for me to show you this kind of breakdown. Okay, what I do is typically I want to separate digital and social. And a lot of you don't do that. You've got to get social media out of your digital play. It's a different marketing number. It's a different mix. It's a different spend level. So what I'm going to do out of that $1,000 is I'm going to make sure that about $275 or so, maybe a little bit more, $275 or a bit more of that is going to be spent on digital enterprises, digital marketing solutions. That's going to be like programmatic, where you see ads that are going to pop up on your phone when you're looking at the Weather Channel in the morning or things like that. It might be search remarketing, when someone searches for a phrase and then all of a sudden you're seeing those ads follow you around online. That's different. E-newsletters, product spotlights, where you're featuring your product in one of the Lessiter e-newsletters that's going out. That's digital. Social is separate from that. So you're going to look at approximately on social, 250 or less. Be careful, depends upon your brand. It might be less than that, depending on your audience. I don't know how many of your folks are on Facebook. Oh, everybody's on Facebook. Not necessarily. Not necessarily in the ag business. In the equine space, a little bit more, but not necessarily. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And then over here on the traditional side of things, you're going to see easily 500 to 550 bucks of that 1,000 or more is spent on the traditional media side. Well, Ryan, that proves it right there. Traditional media is more expensive. I'm going all digital. Well, I can understand the inclination. Digital's fancier. You get fancier reports. I get it. But here's the thing to remember, friends, that's so important about the Lessiter products, about print products, about traditional media in general. It's permission-based marketing. That's so vital for all of you to remember. It's permission-based marketing. Magazines, reports, etc., newsletters being delivered to people that actually want to receive it. No one's going to open up No-Till Farmer and going to say, oh, I cannot believe that there's an ad in here. Lessiter Media, companies like Lessiter have literally spent millions of dollars over the course of 30, 40, 50 years creating products, creating readable content that people accept your advertisement, my advertisement, as a part of the total experience. No one is surprised when they get something from Lessiter and it has some type of sponsor like you or me attached to it. No one says, oh, I can't believe that. It's an accepted part of the entire process, of the total experience. You might say, well, still, it's more expensive. Well, it is not necessarily more expensive. It costs more to produce permission-based marketing mechanisms. They're just better. When you have somebody's permission to serve them an ad, it's just better. I mean, when you go on Facebook and you see an ad, do you say to yourself, oh, you know what I want is more advertising? You don't. It's intrusion-based marketing. Now, I love it. There's a place for it. But then also recognize on the digital front. On the digital front, you also have permission-based marketing mechanisms. So e-newsletters, for example. People have said, whether it's a farmer or it's a crop producer or a crop consultant or it's whoever it is, a farrier or supply store or whatever, they've signed up for e-newsletters and said, I give you my permission to send me things in my email. Now, I don't know about you, I get a lot of email marketing, a lot of it. The things I don't sign up for, I unsubscribe from or delete. Makes me feel angry. But the things I did sign up for, I look at. And I like to read those things. Friends, it's really important for all of us really to recognize, what we're doing with our marketing dollars and what the mix looks like. One customer needs to see 10 ads, 3 different channels over a 30-day period of time before you're going to get the ROI that you deserve or the ROI that you want that can potentially be repeatable as well. So unbelievably important in the grand scheme of things. And once you wrap your head around that, you'll recognize strategy idea number 2, and that is you might have cut too deep. When it comes to marketing, it's easy to cut. Marketing is a muscle. It's not fat. It's skeletal. It's the core to your business. Now, I recognize some of you are smaller operations. You're like, hey, Ryan, if I do more marketing, I'm going to have to lay somebody off. Oh, I get it. We've had those conversations. But here's the thing to remember that's so important. Do you have a competitor? Be honest with yourself. Well, I don't have any competitors. I'm top of class. Okay. Let's be real for a second. I'm here to help you. Do you have a competitor of any way, shape, or form? And if they continue to advertise and you back off, if they turn the volume up to 7 and you've turned the volume down to 4, they can adjust their volume down to 5 and still potentially be creating what's called a marketing gap. Friends, let me ask you this question. What type of marketing gap has been created when you turned the volume down and others turned the volume up? Have you been paying attention to that? The marketing gap is real. It's real in my business. It's real in my wife's business. It's real in my dad's businesses, my brother up in Michigan, in his businesses. It's real. The marketing gap is real. Are you creating a negative marketing gap? Or are you the one that's creating the gap? Are you turning the volume up to leave potentially other people behind? Here's the flaw, if you will, in the total marketing program. A lot of marketers think of marketing as a water faucet. You think of something that you turn on when you want new customers and you turn it off when you don't want customers. And when you want new, you turn it on, and when you've got enough, you turn it off. Here's the thing that so many people overlook. If you as a brand, whatever the size of your business, I recognize you may need to turn the water down, but recognize what happens when you've got a leaky faucet, how much water you actually still get if you just leave the water on enough, high enough to make sure you beat your competition. You're still filling buckets with water. It's not called branding. It's called brand maintenance. I looked at some of the brands that are here today. I recognize almost all of your brands that are here today from growing up on a farm and being in the ag business. Some of you need to recognize that you need to protect your turf. You turn the volume down during COVID because you're like, we're good. We're going to turn the volume down. We'll come back online in a little bit. Brand maintenance. Branding is sort of like, I run ads and I don't get a whole lot for it. It's called brand maintenance because you need to protect your turf. Be watching that volume knob. When your competitors, if they even go one volume notch higher, they're filling more buckets with water. And once you get into a post-COVID world, whatever that means to your business, you're going to have to fight the fight. Here's what I have found, that unless you're in the Ronco slicer, dicer, thigh master, quick air dryer, fryer kind of business, unless that's your business, you're not going to get responses like this to your advertising. It doesn't work like that. When people are buying machinery or paying large scale consulting bills or whatever that circumstance is, what are you going to do? Buy one, get one? You're not going to be able to do that. But wait, there's more. That's not who you are. It's not who you are as business owners, and it's not who you are as companies or marketers. It's just not. So you've got to recognize that maintaining consistency is almost always going to be more cost effective. It is always more cost effective to lead the pack than to fight from the back. It is always more cost effective. Maybe you're familiar with NASCAR, maybe you're not. But those cars out front, they've got to maintain that lead. The moment they put their foot on the gas for a second, like a lot of businesses have, is the moment they start dropping back in the pack. Once you get towards the back, it does not matter if you, are Tom Petty. It doesn't matter if you're Mario Andretti, whatever the circumstance is. That's not NASCAR, by the way. If you're Jeff Gordon or whatever the circumstance is, it's very difficult for you to fight back to the front of the pack. So important to remember that vivid point. Now, here's what's interesting about your customers. They are restless. Now, most of your customers probably in some way, shape, or form were deemed essential. It just depends upon the circumstance. But let me ask you this. For them, when the COVID curtain goes up for them, when they feel like, hey, I'm ready to re-engage, are they going to be thinking about you? Most people think about the last thing that they saw. That's why when someone calls you and says, hey, I'm interested in your product or service, and you might say, well, where'd you hear about us? And they say, oh, Google. That's the last thing that they remembered. So you've got to recognize, friends, consumers are restless right now. When that curtain goes up, are they going to be thinking about you? So, how do we know that this stuff works? How do we know it? Because we know that history is a really good teacher. And the reason we know this is because we've seen over the course of time, brands that turn the volume down, when another brand turns the volume up, they almost always emerge from the circumstance as a leader. Someone asked a question, a great question here from Greg. Are you considering content marketing a piece of the marketing? I am, Greg. It's a very, very great point. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple examples of where that might fit in your sales funnel as well. So that's a great question, and I'll share with you some examples here in a minute. So thanks for bringing that up. All right, history is a great teacher. Let's walk you through 90 seconds of history. That's it. And I'm going to show you what it kind of looks like. All right, the Great Depression. Post Dry Cereal Company is the #1 dry cereal company in America, bar none, during the Great Depression. Well, they were a market leader, like a lot of you. And what they did is during the Great Depression, they turned down the volume. They cut their marketing. Where there was a little startup, brand that was in Battle Creek, Michigan. And that little startup company had almost no money, but they spent every penny that they had left. The Great Depression comes to an end, and guess who emerges as the #1 leader in dry cereal in the United States? Kellogg's. What did they do? They saw their biggest competitor turn down the volume, and they turned the volume up. And they led the dry cereal business for 3 decades, all the way through the 50s with Tony the Tiger, who still ends up being one of the most recognized brands other than Mickey Mouse, one of the most recognized sort of mascots in marketing other than Mickey Mouse. Good job, Kellogg's. We roll forward to the 80s. I remember the 80s. My dad was farming in the mid 80s, got out of farming in the late 80s. McGraw-Hill Research analyzed 600 companies covering 16 different industries from 1980 to 1985. There's their sales along the left and the years of the recession along the bottom. Now let's focus on the black bar, and let's just do that just for sake of time, because we only have 30 minutes left together. We've got more to get to in some of your questions. The black bar represents companies that did not cut their marketing, hardly at all, during the recession of the 1990s to 1985. In the subsequent years, as the recession began to subside, those companies saw anywhere from 100%, from 60, 70 to 100% growth in sales. The red bar, purple bar, and orange bar represent companies that cut their marketing in some capacity. And when they did it, look what happened. They didn't go out of business, but they didn't grow. Some other company left them in the dust. That's my concern. My concern is that marketing's easy to cut. Now, I know some of you, you've chatted across privately. Could you please share this webinar with my boss? My boss doesn't get it. Well, send him the recording. So here's what I'd like to say to all the bosses out there that have told all my fellow marketers on the webinar today to cut budgets. I am concerned. May I share my concern with you? My concern is that marketing is easy to cut. My bigger concern is that if you're not watching your competitors and they don't cut and you do cut, that a marketing gap has been created that you will need to spend more money playing catch up than if you would have just stayed in the marketing game. So there's the conversation I would have with your boss, if that's appropriate. If I've offended anybody out there, you've missed my point. The point is this: look at the 90s. McDonald's cut their marketing in the 90s, in the recession of the 90s. Pizza Hut and Taco Bell, they didn't cut their marketing. McDonald's sales dropped 28%. Pizza Hut and Taco Bell grew 61 and 40% respectively. Friends, think about this. If McDonald's needs to advertise, you're telling me that you don't need to advertise, that I don't need to advertise, that I should cut back? You want to turn your volume up to whatever extent you can afford to do that. Times are tough, I get it. But if McDonald's needs to advertise during a crisis to stay ahead of the game, all of us need to. Here's probably the last crisis you remember. How many of you were marketing, selling, running a business during the 2008 Great Recession? You remember that? 06, 07, 08, 09? Hey, I recognize that COVID's bad. And maybe some of you have been personally impacted, either have COVID or had it, or maybe a family member. And if for some reason you lost someone during the COVID-19, my deepest condolences to you and your family. That's awful to even think about that. But during the 06, 07, 08, 09 Great Recession, one thing was vividly clear. The economy was at the worst that it ever had been. It was way worse than the economy as you see it sitting here today. And here's the interesting thing about the Great Recession. It impacted everybody across the country equally. COVID has impacted the country in different places and different geography in different ways. So the recovery is going to be different in different pieces, places, and parts of the United States based upon the COVID cases and the impact upon their communities. During the Great Recession, Domino's Pizza had three things happen to them. Number one, the Great Recession. Number two, they were launching a new pizza recipe, crazy. And number three, a kitchen viral that was raunchy went viral all across the internet. Three bad things happened to them. What was their answer? To pull out, to pause, to stop, to let the crisis subside? No, they doubled down in their marketing. And after the Great Recession, they emerged as the number one leader in takeout pizza. Here's the thing. They were number three, fighting almost to be number four in pizza delivery. What's interesting is Pizza Hut didn't see it coming. Now, you would think from the 90s, they would have learned that they need to keep their marketing spend high. They didn't do it. Domino's didn't outspend them per se, but they kept it high, and they left Pizza Hut behind. Now Pizza Hut has got Wing Street, Pizza Buffet, all kinds of different things, trying to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. When others go quiet, do you get louder? That's my question. Are you paying attention? As others are getting quieter, do you turn the volume up just higher than them? It's easy to do if you pay attention. The inclination is turn the volume down, all the way down. That's the inclination. It's easy. How many times in life has an easy decision led to great results? The easy decision is don't go to the gym and eat that bag of Doritos. That's the easy decision. The hard decision is get out of the chair, Get in your car and go to the gym if it's safe to go, or run around your yard, or go do push-ups or swim laps or whatever. Very rarely do easy decisions result in great things. Normally, it's the hard decisions that in the end up bringing you some great results. And that's the thing to really think about and consider. Okay, you're going to grow your business. One of the fastest ways to do it in a post-COVID world is to focus on past customers, or those that just bought from you, or those that are currently engaged. And the reason we know this is because the probability of selling to an existing customer is 60 to 70%. While the probability of selling to somebody brand new is only about 5 to 20%. You are 60 to 70% more likely to re-engage with a past customer. So your marketing, your e-newsletters, your social posts should reflect that. Right now is probably not the best time for new customer acquisition. It's just going to be easier to upgrade or resell those folks that have already engaged with you. A 2% increase in customer retention, there on the left side of your screen, has the same effect as decreasing costs by 10%. On the left side of your screen, the probability of selling to an existing customer, 60 to 70%. The probability of selling to a new client, 5 to 10%. There's another statistic, same thing as we stated before, a different company. On the right, it's 6 to 7 times more expensive to acquire a new customer than to keep a new one. So you're saving money by running marketing targeting your past customers. 80% of your future profits will come from just 20% of your existing customers. Repeat customers spend 33% more compared to new customers. Every dealer on the line today, pay attention. Repeat customers spend 33% more compared to new customers. Whether you believe the stat or not, I've seen it happen all across the country, businesses large and small. Right now, now you're all going to send me email, those of you that are in the dealer space. Right now, I'm in the market for a different tractor. I've had the same set two or three for 10, 12 years. And if somebody was to create a compelling offer for me, I'm ready to re-engage. Even though we're living in COVID land here, not too bad in South Carolina, but still bad enough. I'm ready, but no one's re-engaging with me. They have my data. Trust me. The credit company that I got, they have my data. The dealer has my data. Number 5, recognize that you need to create the perfect message if you're going to re-engage those folks, people like me. The perfect message follows a 3-step format. It's easy to understand. Number 1, you've got to state why the person is important. Number 2, you've got to tell them what you want them to do. And then number 3, tell them how to interact with you. It's very important, no matter the size of your business, that you recognize people right now. So 60% of people, according to Pulse data, 60-some% of consumers are saying, hey, tell me how to engage with you. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what to buy. Just tell me how to engage. Let me give you an example, friends. Pretty easy example. Before I show it to you, let me set it up for you. So about a year and a half ago, I decided I enjoy outdoor cooking, and my wife gave me permission. We all know how that goes, right, guys? All the married folks are laughing. My wife gave me permission to buy a new grill, and it was rather expensive. It's sort of like a green egg, but it's made by a different company called Kamado Joe. And I like the Kamado Joe brand. They gave me more stuff with it for the same price. That's why I bought it. It's called a Kamado Joe. During COVID, their business was struggling, so they decided to reach out to me, and they did it right. And this is what they did. They stated why I was important. They told me what they wanted me to do, and they told me how to interact with them. Here's how the email went. State why the person is important. Hi, Ryan. You bought a Kamado Joe grill from us last year. You're VIP to us. Cool. I like being VIP. Number 2, tell them what you want them to do. Ryan, here are 3 options. You need to take your cooking to the next level. I don't really need these accessories, but I would like to have them. As a VIP client, Ryan, they told me how to interact with them. As a VIP client, you're entitled to 35% off. Or share your VIP discount with your friend Scott. It doesn't say that. I know what they meant. Click here. Check out this link. So they followed this 3-step format. And in doing so, they re-engaged me in a unique way. Here's what's interesting, mass email. Mass email is losing its effectiveness. It's not that it doesn't work. Its effectiveness is dropping because everybody's trying to mass email everybody. What are you going to do to be more targeted, to be more specialized, and be more customized? We're going to talk about that here in just a minute. That's the 3-step formula that you want to follow. because you've got to begin strategy idea number 6 to diversify your communication channels. This is where Greg's question comes into play as it relates to content marketing. Thanks for the question. Appreciate it. Keep your questions coming. By the way, I'm trying to answer as many of them as I can as they're coming in. Got a bunch coming in. All right. When you're diversifying your channels, one of the things you want to recognize is how this mobile phone plays a part in whether it's a farmer or it's a farrier or whatever the circumstance, how this phone plays a part in everybody's life. Now, just in case you're new to the ag marketing game, you might think, which would be incorrect, that farmers or people that are involved in the equestrian space have flip phones and things like that. Friends, they have iPhones, I promise, and they know how to run computers. Trust me, I just sat in one of the newer combines that you press a button and it's going to roll right down the field without your intervention. It'll get to the end row where you're going to take over and turn that combine around, but it doesn't really need you there to do a good job. On your phone, friends, social media-wise specifically, you're going to scroll 300 feet a day, 300 feet a day, the length of a football field, at an average speed with your thumb of 87 miles an hour. It's no wonder that thumb therapy is actually a real thing. People strain their thumbs. And they have to go to, I'm serious, look it up. And you have to go to thumb therapy. It just sounds crazy, doesn't it, friends? Come on, join me in having a little fun today, would you? In any given year, you're going to scroll far enough in your phone to get to the top of Mount Everest. So you've got to ask yourself, when you're diversifying your channels, what do you do? What does it look like? It starts with, okay, and this will get to Greg's question and a couple of your other questions of where you're placing your marketing dollars. Okay, let's look at the screen and let's play around a little bit with these statistics. I think they're important for us to note. Okay, so what we've got here in front of us is we've got the generations of your buyers across the top. Then what we have is we've got what they trust or don't trust as it relates to marketing. So this is the advertising trust rankings from Nielsen. So as an example, let's just say that you're trying to target somebody that's the Generation X age, which is going to have an average age right now about 46 years old is going to be the average. The boomers' average age right here is going to be right around 65 to 66. And then the average age here, the silent generation, is going to be 76 plus. More than likely, you're probably not targeting with your product and services. The average age here is going to be 36 to 38 of the millennials. Probably not, but it depends upon your circumstance. All right, Gen Xers, let's say that this is your target for your product or service. 83% trust recommendations from people that I know. Cool. So that's why in all your print ads, you want to run testimonials from other people that have bought from you in the past to create an implied referral. Branded websites. Branded websites would be your website, the farm equipment website, those types of things. Those are all branded websites. This is also where digital plays. Branded websites right here, this is where digital plays. So when you're talking about sponsored content, when you're talking about content marketing can happen on your site. It can happen on other sites, whether you're buying content, creating sponsored content. Let's go down here to the bottom. What's the least trusted as far as Gen Xers go? Less than 40% trust text ads on mobile phones, online banner ads, ads on mobile devices, social networks. We're talking less than 50%. So what you want to do is be careful. You don't want to put all your marketing eggs in that one basket. What's kind of right here in the middle? What's kind of the sweet spot? You're looking at ads in movies. That doesn't apply to you. Ads in newspapers, ads in magazines. Now recognize something, friends, here that's real important. The reason you don't want to use your own email list much. 56% of people don't even trust emails they signed up for. Now, remember, a lot of times you're trying to take over the email marketing piece of the puzzle. And you've got to recognize that sometimes that really is not necessarily the best way to go. So just think about that. What advertising trusted? What's trusted? When you think about diversifying your channels, your marketing channels, you want to look at things like, hey, I said to the guys at Lessiter, the folks at Lessiter, hey, what are your email newsletters doing right now? The national average of email open rates is around 23%. What are your emails looking like right now? And look at these numbers. We've got the Ag Equipment Intelligence e-newsletter looking anywhere from 34 to 44% open rates. That doubles the national average. You've got the AFJ, American Farriers Journal, looking at 21 to 27%, close to the national average or beating it. Precision Farm Equipment at 35 and 42%, beating the national average, and in some cases here, doubling it on the weekly basis. No-till farmer at 34%, strip till at 35%, crop cover strategies at 34%. So when you're thinking about this, you want to be doing some intelligent reconnaissance as it relates to it as you look to diversify your marketing channels. And you also then, number 7 is align your marketing messages, your goals and your channels, et cetera, and to the message type that you're sending. So as an example, here's the sales funnel. Sales funnel is going to be different for every business, but the buyer's journey is the same. Your sales funnel might be different than anybody else on the call today, but the buyer's journey is going to remain the same. The buyers first need to be aware, and they're not ready to buy at that point. They're going to discover more about you, even if they know you. Then they're going to learn more about you. Then they start choosing you, and then they start purchasing or engaging with you. The buyer's journey is almost always the same, with a couple of exceptions. Like one exception might be a piece of equipment breaks, forces you to buy a new one. You go through the journey faster. Just recognize, friends, the buyer's journey is almost always the same, even if your sales funnel piece or part is different. So from a discovery and learning perspective, you might be doing blog posts, you might be doing sponsored blogs, social media, web e-newsletters. At the top of this, the tactics might be doing content marketing on your own site, as well as sharing it or asking for it to be published, paying for it to be published in major publications like what Lessiter offers. As you get down closer here to the bottom, it might be e-newsletters, it might be the proposal piece. There's all kinds of different pieces and parts. But just remember, it's important. The buyer's journey is almost always the same, even if your sales funnel takes different places, even if it goes different places. So you want to align your tactics with the buyer's journey, even if your sales funnel is different than others. I asked the Lessiter folks, I was like, hey, what are 2 or 3 things? What are 2 or 3 ideas that I can share with the folks that are going to be at this webinar today that are really working for some customers? I wanted to give you guys, you folks on the call today, some examples. So for example, some custom digital examples they've done for clients like you. They did a soil enrichment quiz, great results. It's an ongoing sponsored quiz that's received 400 plus entries, 100 plus requests by entrants to be contacted by the quiz sponsor. People love that kind of stuff. Diversifying your channels, data management, lead gen. They've got a program called Taser. They can tell you more about it. Generated 1,200 e-guide downloads, which when nurtured through the funnel correctly, identified 28 leads who requested to be contacted by a Taser sponsor like people like you. 28 leads. You know what I'd give today to have 28 qualified leads come in? I bet your salespeople wouldn't even know what to do with 28 leads. Yes, I would. Really? 28? It's a lot. Road to the NNTC contest, a sponsored instant win online campaign, generated 911 entries who subsequently subscribed to the sponsor's social media pages, viewed videos on content, did a product trial. When you look to diversify, you got to look to get out of your own head and a little bit to get out of your own bubble as well. It's super, super important because what we're looking to do is feed your sales funnel, bring people into your customer journey. Our job is to help bring people as marketers into the funnel and then also give you options at various places along that sales funnel. So as an example, at the top of the funnel, you might be doing ebooks, you might be doing white papers, you might be doing research reports, you might be sponsoring podcasts, being interviewed on podcasts, doing YouTube videos and having those featured in your social advertising. When you get to that middle stage of the funnel where people are doing a lot of research, more social media, doing all kinds of webinars, participating in newsletters, those types of things. Remember, the alignment is the piece. Diversify. Remember, 1 person, 10 ads, 3 channels, 30 days to get you the bang that you want for your money. At the bottom, of the funnel, I like e-newsletters at the bottom of the funnel, but that's really where your salespeople got to get heavily involved, making sure that they're really, really on top of those leads. And when you think about, what's happening with the Farm Progress Show and things like that, virtual is the new big thing. It just is. Now, you might not like it. Am I kind of tired of getting on webinars like this? I'm glad you're not. I'm glad you're here today. But virtual is the new thing. It just is, and people are getting good at it. If anything good has come out of COVID, if I could even say that, sorry, is that everybody, including my mom, knows how to get on Zoom. Love my mom, but if she can get on Zoom, anybody can get on Zoom. Check out these numbers. They're going to blow your mind. Virtual field days. Okay, so when AgWeb said Farmers rated their top alternatives to in-person attendance of events, selecting all that applied. 31% virtual field days would work for them. Virtual agronomy sessions, 29%. Virtual commodity marketing, VIP equipment demos, all virtual. 30 some odd percent, 20 to 30% said, hey, here's the top alternative. I can't be there live. This is what I want to do. They're okay with it. Now, a lot of times the survey of one causes you to say, well, I don't like it, so I'm not going to do it. Hey, friends, it's not about me or you. The data is true. If you've got 37% of people saying, hey, I'm fine with it, that's 3 in 10. Now that we know that we've got some events that have been canceled, we've got to roll forward with it. 38% did webinars, 48% Zoom, 37% FaceTime, 24% other, whatever that means, other. Farmers have used alternative ways to learn about you, your products, and your services, and they're ready to do it. It's very, very important to understand it's not about you or me. It's about your customer. A lot of times that survey of one, like you survey yourself, I don't like that. I don't think people read that. Be careful of the survey of one. Survey of one can cost you a lot of ROI. About the Farm Progress Show, which we know has been canceled, well, 48% of respondents said they've previously attended the Farm Progress Show. Only 14% said they were planning to attend the show. 54% of farmers said they have engaged in online platforms such as Zoom, GoToMeeting, and other phone and computer software. 54%. So when you can get more than half, okay, because about 30% aren't going to respond at all. And I love the farmers out there because that's my family, okay? I'm talking about, but you can always make fun of your family, right? Poke fun at your family because you love them. 54% said they've engaged in other online medias. Friends, I mean, that's great. Those type of numbers lead me to think you should jump on board with anything out there that's potentially possible. Look at these registration numbers from the Lessiter events. I said, hey guys, if you want me to talk about this, prove that I'm right and prove that your people are engaged. Look at the number of registrants for the Ag Equipment Intelligence virtual event, 23 people there. The Farrier Business Success Academy, 836. The Dealer Success Academy, 460. Look at the National Cover Crop Summit, 2,380 people. I mean, come on, that is one of the largest numbers for a virtual event that I've seen, and I do a lot of these. This is my 4th one that I've done even today. And I love doing them. I'm going to be a little worn out on webinars. Maybe you are too, but clearly the audience, your customers, is not worn out on them. But if you're looking to diversify and get your message out, you need to be looking at virtual conferences. Here are the 3 or 4 things that I would do. Virtual conferences that are live, pre-recorded on demand. That's fine. They don't all have to be live, friends. It's okay. Digital product demos. Those might be live. Those could be on demand. Topical webinars like what we're doing here today. Getting involved in like the Farm Innovations video product showcase that you see there on your screen. Those types of things are recorded. If you're not comfortable with the live event scenario or live event piece, that's okay. Recognize, friends, there's so many options out there for you in the ag and equestrian space. It's just a matter of, hey, do you want to diversify? Do you want to get on board? Or do you want to create a marketing gap between you and the nearest competitor? Don't let that happen. That's what I'm seeing occurring right now is people are pulling back. I can't afford to do it. Is it that you can't afford to do it or you just don't want to afford to do it? That's really the big question. You got to dig deep. I had to dig deep. You got to dig deep. But customized messages, friends, that is so important. Connect, lead, qualify. Customized messaging is really the name of the game. And that is recognizing that the rise of personalization and customization is so unbelievably important. And that is, Ryan, last year you bought this from us. I'm telling you right now, if somebody sent me, and it just happened with our local Ford truck dealer, my wife received a really nice brochure, had a handwritten note in it. Her name is Andre. It said, Andre, you've got a 2012 F350. It's worth, I forget what they said. The number was way too low. That's all I know. It's worth this much money. Come on in. We'd like to get you in a new truck. It was really well done because they recognize, they watched this video a couple weeks ago. They recognize that a high level of customization, whether it's direct mail, whether it's sponsored content, email blasts, special reports, quizzes, contests. People love to win stuff. Get on board with contests and promotions. That's a great way. But then also recognize that there's a level of customization from programmatic on people's phones. There's a high level of customization, and that is when somebody takes their phone into a particular location, we're going to be able to grab their ID as marketers and serve them individualized messaging based on where they went. Is it creepy? I suppose, but it's I like to call it creepy kind of cool. We can do that. It's a high level of customization. The rise of personalization and customization, it's here and it's here to stay. I mean, until such time that somebody shuts it off. It doesn't seem like that's going to be any time in the near future. Another idea, though, is staying connected through retargeting efforts and really recognizing really what does retargeting look like. Really, some of you don't know what it is, so let me explain. Let's just say your customer receives a promotional email, and let's just say that it's from Farm Equipment Magazine, as an example, and they see a piece of equipment they're interested in, they click on it, it goes over to the Farm Equipment website. At that point in time, we're going to capture data on them, and they're going to begin to serve them ads on the Weather Channel app, ads on Facebook, ads on Google, and your message can be there in front of them. The retargeting workflow might be that they happen to attend a webinar that you put on. We begin to collect their data and we begin to serve them ads on their phones, on Facebook, whatever it is that they are. We're serving them advertising in multiple ways on multiple days. We're following the formula of one person needs to see 10 ads in 3 channels over a 30-day period of time, and you just repeat it over and over and over again. One of the best pieces of advice I can give you is stop doing this. A heartbeat is only good in one thing, and that is in your heart. You want a good heartbeat. If you've got this up and down marketing strategy, you always have to spend more at the height when you drop back out, because you cannot keep a constant volume in front of people. Turn your volume up as high as you can potentially turn them up. And then last but not least, and friends, we could talk all day on this. We'll answer the following questions that are here, the questions that are left. You got to go long. All right. Survival is about making decisions for the long game. It's really about recognizing that marketing is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's just not. If marketing was easy and it happened like this, everybody would do that. It'd be just a piece of cake. And friends, it's not that easy. And the reason that it's not that easy is because it's just not that easy, but you can rinse and repeat the formula. What I see all too often, though, is people falling victim to the survey of one. They only buy what they like and not necessarily what's effective. And then the other thing is they buy one thing at a time and they test it, it doesn't work, and they drop it, and they move on to the next thing. You need to stop doing that. What you need to do is put it in place, let it sit like a really good stew, and let it marinate, and then see what the results are. Very, very important to recognize. Here's what you're going to get after, as Lessiter's gift to you. You're going to get access to the recorded workshop to view this on demand. You're going to get access to the weekly marketing insight and idea articles. You're going to get the free marketing strategy session to strengthen your current 2020 marketing plan, free access to the sales-focused e-guides. Those would all be sent to you. And then, of course, and I know that, almost all the folks that you work with at Lessiter, these are great people. Just reach out to them and say, hey, let's strategize. I heard a lot of great stuff from Ryan. Man, oh man, that hour went by really fast. Heard a lot of great stuff. What I'd really like to do is sit down. Let's just strategize. Even say to them, say, hey, I don't want to have a sales call. Don't try to sell me something. Let's sit down and let's strategize. Let's figure out what we can do, as a part of the puzzle. So let me ask a couple of questions that are here. Todd asked, will these slides be available to print and share after the call? For sure. All that stuff will be sent to you, Todd. Not a problem at all. And Todd, if you're the Todd I'm thinking of, I think you've got some family that's near DeWitt, Iowa. It might be that Todd. If you are, we actually know each other. How about that? And then the content marketing piece, I think we did answer that one for Greg. It's definitely a part of the puzzle. Hey, friends, remember, if marketing was easy, if this job was easy that we're all involved in, everybody be doing it. And they're not. It's a hard job. But I hope this information over the last 60 minutes will give you some ideas, give you some thoughts, and I hope that you found it to be a well worth the 60 minutes that you spent with us. If I can be of help, reach out to me. My name and number, etc., is there at ryandohrn.com. But what I'd really love for you to do is set up a strategy session with your account executive, your sales manager there at Lessiter Media. So on behalf of the Lessiter family, as well as Lessiter Media and Lessiter Publications, we thank you so much for being here. Hope you found it helpful. And if we can reach out, we can be of help, please reach out to us. Otherwise, friends, have a great day. Be safe out there. And just get out there and try to do something different here in 2020 as we look to bounce back in a post-COVID world. All right, God bless all of you. Be safe out there. If we can do something, reach out to us. Take care, friends.